Do you believe in aliens?
I do throughout the universe. However, I don't believe that any extraterrestrial aliens have ever landed on planet Earth.
So you believe in aliens out there, but not aliens here. Why?
Correct. When you step back and take a scientific, wide picture of what it would take to travel millions of light years through space, and you realize that in order to reach that level of technology, number one, that civilization would have had to pass and left behind long ago its nuclear decision threshold.
What's that?
That's when conscious beings develop enough power and energy to wipe out civilization on its planet. So, to get to the point where you have the energy, the advanced energy to travel light years through space, you have to get past the point of destroying civilization.
And what's beyond that point?
Beyond that point is pure rationality. You see, you leave behind all irrationality because it's irrationality that's going to cause the nuclear annihilation of conscious beings on your planet. In order to survive that nuclear decision threshold, you must purge irrationality or what our philosophy calls mysticism, personal mysticism among civilization, among human beings, or among conscious beings. So once you purge irrationality, let's call it, then you will move more and more quickly and advance more rapidly with rationality, and you will have great technological revolution. You'll develop the technology to travel. But when you get to that point where you develop the technology to travel light years and then multiple light years and thousands of light years throughout the universe, you will have advanced so far technologically that there is nothing that those beings, those conscious beings, could benefit or learn from planet Earth or from our human beings. They're just too far advanced beyond that. So there's no reason for them to expend that kind of energy to travel that distance to come to Earth. So it makes no sense that any advanced civilization that's that advanced would ever have any interest in spending that kind of energy to come to Earth. It learn nothing, it gains nothing.
Hmm. So then why do so many people think aliens are here on Earth?
Well, you have recently a lot of this has been in the news, like UFO sightings but as time passes, more of these unexplained, unidentified phenomena get explained. It just takes time to get all the pieces, the puzzle pieces together to do that, but steadily and surely. And if there ever were any extraterrestrial aliens on Earth, there'd just be overwhelming evidence. Yeah, over time, these phenomena get explained. But when you just understand the scientific logic behind why there would not be that expenditure of energy from these advanced civilizations that could learn nothing from us, learn nothing at all from us, they wouldn't expend that energy to come and travel here.
What do you believe about these aliens that aren't here on Earth then?
Oh, I do believe they're all throughout the universe and some far advanced beyond planet Earth. I believe there's many civilizations that have surpassed their nuclear decision threshold, which, by the way, our planet is right at that point, at this point in time. We are right at our nuclear decision threshold. Uh,
Meaning your nuclear decision threshold, meaning that we can either destroy ourselves with the technology we've developed or go through a threshold and leave behind all dishonesty and what you say mysticism.
yeah, leave behind irrationality.
Do you think that's even how is that even possible to leave behind irrationality and dishonesty?
Well, when you study the roots of neothink, we go back into neotech, the philosophy of neotech, which grew out of Ayn Rand's objectivism. And you see how Dr. Wallace, my father, identified mysticism as a mind disease. It's really the only disease of the mind is mysticism, and it grows out of laziness and dishonesty. And it takes grotesque forms such as ruling classes, bureaucracies that I call cults that manipulate people's lives and manipulates their minds. but it's a mind disease. Mysticism is a mind disease. And once that, or not until that mind disease is cured through honesty, fully integrated honesty and effort, until that point in time, we are at risk of annihilating conscious beings on Earth through a nuclear proliferation.
And you think that these conscious beings out there have each gone through that threshold, that nuclear decision threshold, and have left behind their dishonesty and irrationality?
Right. I believe that there are planets that have, and there are planets of conscious life that have not. And those that have could be advanced enough to travel through the universe. But as I said, they would gain nothing to come here, because if they're that advanced that they could travel light years through space, there's nothing they're going to learn from us, nothing they're going to gain from us. It's very simple once you get that, what I call a neo-think perspective, wide scope thinking, and just see the whole logic behind it.
Yeah, it's making a lot more sense that there's if conscious beings or aliens out there are so advanced that they could come here, then they wouldn't need to come here.
All right, Wallace. We've spent our whole lives. I've spent over 45 years studying the human mind. You've been spending your adult life doing the same. And we've learned we're so beyond a lot of people in this field of knowledge. In fact, with Neothink, we're beyond most people, if not all people, in this field of knowledge, of understanding what limits the human mind and how to free the human mind, right? Through Neothink. Now, as busy as I am and as challenging it is for me to keep up with not only my responsibilities, but with my creative thinking, my creative writing, would it make sense for me to go and sit in kindergarten with the other kids for a month? No, because I won't learn anything there. So
Right.
I'd have no reason to go there. And that's not even to mention the expense and the energy and the devotion of time that it would take to travel light years through space to come to kindergarten. If you're that advanced, to come to kindergarten, let's call Earth kindergarten. Why would they come to kindergarten and spend all that time, energy, and money and suck up a portion of their lives to come to kindergarten? They just wouldn't do it.
Right.
It's that simple.
That seems very logical.
Yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense.
Once you get that Neothink perspective, it just clears out all the, all the stories out there about UFOs and not being able to explain this and Area 51 and all of that. It just clears it all out.
So why are some like really, really intelligent people kind of obsessed or enamored with aliens?
One person comes to mind is Tucker Carlson. Now, here's the reason why. Tucker Carlson is a brilliant guy, and he operates with Neothink, wider perspectives of things, and therefore he's a self-leader. Now, when you're a self-leader, a Neothink self-leader, you don't let the ruling class or external authorities tell you, no, something isn't there, or something doesn't exist. Because you have a curious mind, as Tucker does, and you want to get to what is yourself, not by what an external authority or what the ruling class tells you what is. So he's sort of bucking the system, because our government has always been known to, or for the most part until recently, to say, no, there's none of this, no aliens, none of this, none of these ships are aliens in Area 51, no. So Tucker, being a curious mind, a self-leader, a self-thinker, is not going to have the ruling class tell him what is or what is not. He himself needs to know what is or what is not. He just doesn't have that whole scientific integration, that Neothink perspective that I just laid out for you today. That's all.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw him on Joe Rogan saying something like, he believes that there are not necessarily aliens, but there are spiritual beings that have existed for a long time on Earth, and that's out of our comprehension,
Mm-hmm.
and more of like, kind of like a little bit religious, maybe spiritual. I'm not
Mhm.
sure if I'm totally correct on that,
Okay.
but that's what I think his views are.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, and but I will say that a lot of neo thinkers, or people who have joined our private Neothink club over the decades have been attracted to 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 the whole idea of alien beings having been on Earth. And I've realized why that is. It is because they are more open minded than the average population. And until relatively recently, the whole idea of could there be conscious beings out there throughout the universe not really that was not really accepted. It was is more thought, well, no, we're the only conscious beings in the universe. Now, with Carl Sagan, with my father, Dr. Wallace, and others, it's become more and more understood and accepted now that yes, there are conscious beings all throughout the universe. There has to be.
And why is that?
Oh, just this when you understand numbers, you understand all these energy systems all throughout the universe. It's very clear that there's conscious life all over throughout the universe. They may be light years apart, but they're there. But decades ago, let's just say, to be thinking about the possibility of aliens on Earth means that someone had a more expansive thinking. Well, yes, I'm sure there are conscious beings throughout the universe, and therefore it's possible that some of them have landed on Earth. You see, it's almost ironic that those who had sort of a more open mind and a wider perspective of things, because they don't have the scientific logic behind it, as I explained to you, and don't have that Neothink perspective, in a sense, they had more open-minded, wider scope thinking than a lot of people who didn't believe in aliens having been on Earth because of their view of the universe as a whole. So I've realized why a number of people who have been attracted to Neothink had that belief throughout our 50 years of being a private club.
And back to your analogy about kindergarten and
Yes.
not going back there. So if conscious beings exist out there, then, like you as a grown adult, wouldn't like some go back to teach kindergartners and lesser developed minds to be able to develop into more developed minds. So why wouldn't other conscious beings out there do the same to us and educate us or, try to help us or anything?
Well, actually, this brings up a couple of interesting thoughts. I'm glad you brought that up. Number one, just the sheer cost and energy and time that it would take wouldn't be worth it for them to come back here and teach us. They would find much more productive ways of teaching more advanced conscious beings for greater return, greater results than spending that energy, time, money, and I'm going to say it twice, time to come here to Earth to do that. Number one. But I'm glad you brought that up because it raises another whole topic. And it gets into almost a spiritual realm, but it's more scientific than that. And what I mean by that is, no, I would not myself go spend the time. Let's say there is a kindergarten school in China, and I'd have to fly around the world to teach it for a week. Of course, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't even drive down the street to do that. I just wouldn't be able to. But if I were walking along the beach and I saw a baby drowning in the water, I'm going to run over there and save that baby. I'm not going to let that baby die because of the value of that baby. So with that in mind, I'm just going to throw this out there. And I didn't expect this conversation to go there, but I'm going to throw it out there now. When you have advanced conscious beings that have been conscious billions of years longer than we have been conscious on Earth, let's say, or even millions of years.
I mean, we've only been conscious for
3,000 years.
3,000 years.
Right, 3,000 years. And there are studies that show why that's the case. That's 3,000 years that we've been in this conscious mode now where we have introspection. We can make decisions for ourselves as opposed to being more of an automatically reacting animal with no inner mind space. But for 3,000 years, as demonstrated throughout writings, throughout history, and including the Bible is a great source of witnessing the transition from sort of that more animal mind into the conscious mind with insight and decision making. So for 3,000 years. Now, imagine a civilization that's been conscious for, let's just say, 10 million years. Now, what I want to do is throw out this concept. Um, it took it took us almost 3,000 years to control nature on a wide scale, and I'm going to say that's Hoover Dam controlling the Colorado River. And it's Lake Mead as a result of that, and then we have the power and so on and so forth from what we've accomplished there. So then it took yet another just 30, was it about 33 years or so to land on the moon. Now, with computer technology and particularly now AI, we are advancing with knowledge almost at light speed at this point. So I want to point out that progression of how long it takes to get to here, then to here, and then it just goes like that.
I mean, exponential.
Right. So imagine 3,000 years and we're just entering in that exponential phase with AI. Imagine civilization's been around for 1,000,000 years, what they can
It's
do.
unfathomable.
All right. So when they're that advanced, now going back to my metaphor of the baby drowning on the beach, and 100% an adult walking by would run over and save that little baby.
Of course.
So imagine us being little babies and we're drowning in death because we all die. We are rolling around in the surf and drowning, all of us. 8 billion people are all going to die. Now, when you think of those civilizations, millions of years beyond us in consciousness, are they going to save us? Are they going to let us die?
I'd hope not.
And they look at us and they realize we're all rolling around in the surf drowning. We're going to die, all 8 billion of us. And we're going to just keep dying and keep dying and keep dying. It almost stands to reason that at some point they do something that will save us from drowning in the surf if we're all babies drowning in the surf.
So are you saying other conscious beings out there might save us from death?
This is a heavy topic that I deal with extensively in my writings. But I will say that it's an unbroken line of logic to assume that. When you go through psychology of conscious life and recognizing that each conscious being is to that person the most important thing in the universe. So when you realize how important conscious life, each conscious life is, if you read my trilogy Super Puzzle, you see that. You see the incredible traumatic experience for the last one to die. When you're that advanced and you see babies drowning in the surf, and your technology is that advanced, is there not something that happens? It's just something I'm throwing out there as a possibility. Is there not something that happens through the ether of the universe or something that gathers your consciousness? And I know it sounds like religion, but it could be much more scientifically grounded than just faith. There's a line of logic, a scientific line of logic that takes us to that point.
That makes sense.
Something to ponder.
Yeah. I mean, your analogy is pretty straightforward. Like, if I'm walking by the beach and I see someone drowning, like a child drowning, of course, I'm just going to walk over there and just pick it up.
Yeah.
And then, so if other beings are that advanced to be able to, look at us like drowning babies in the
Yeah.
surf, they're just going to prevent
Yeah,
our
it's very
conscious
possible
loss of life.
I believe that there is a universal computer throughout the universe where all conscious civilizations pour their knowledge, where all conscious civilizations can tap into.
Why can't we tap it?
Not yet, but we continue moving in a rational direction if we can get past our nuclear decision threshold, which is right on the brink at this point in time, as you all know. If we can get past that, we will ultimately get to that point where we tap into the universal computer. And if there's a universal computer, could there be a universal way of, when you die, of scooping up, saving your consciousness so you don't perish, where these precious conscious beings don't perish? That's something, again, to ponder.
All right. Well, that's a lot to think about.
Yes.
So conscious beings exist out there,
Yes.
but not here on Earth.
Never.
Okay. All right. Well, that's that.
Good. All right. Till next time.